Welcome to Wild Rose Haven, where we're doing it ourselves.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Wild Rose Haven. Today I'll be making sauerkraut for the very first time, and actually this will be the very first time I'll be making fermented food of any kind. So this is going to be a little bit of an experiment to see how well I do on my first try at making sauerkraut. So I decided, why not, if this is going to be the first time doing it, let's go for two different types of recipes. So one recipe I'm going to do is the traditional way with the green cabbage here, and the other one I have decided to use a Napa cabbage, and I'm going to see if I can create my own recipe and try them and see how they work out. Now this one is going to be influenced by how I was raised as an island girl and how my mother taught me how to cook. So I will be adding that sort of flavor to this sauerkraut and see how it turns out. So let's get this ball rolling and get our sauerkraut experiment recipe going. All right, so the first one we're going to start with is the traditional one. And for this recipe, it's very, very simple. All you need is 5 pounds of cabbage, and to the 5 pounds of cabbage, you're only going to add 3 tablespoons of salt. And that's the recipe that we're going to go with today for the first time to see how it works out. You want to clean your cabbage first, and of course you want to go ahead and take off the first layer, which usually is a little bit wilted to it. So you want to take that part of your cabbage off, those leaves. And for some of us, you might want to be able to compost it, or if you have livestock out there that you can feed it to, then you can feed it to your livestock. For other of us, what you're going to do is that people like to use it to weigh their sauerkraut down. I'm actually going to do something different and do a combination of an idea that I saw and try that instead, as far as being able to help keep the sauerkraut down in the brine once it starts producing it. So I will more likely just go ahead and compost this out or give it to my little quackies outside. Okay, so now what you have to do is you're going to have to take out the core. And to take out the core, it's really simple. You just go ahead and slice it like so and get the core out. Decent knife helps. And taking out the core is not that hard. If you have a method, use whatever method you're accustomed to take it out. This is how I take out the core from my cabbage. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and make it into slivers like the sauerkraut that I'm accustomed to. All right, now you got just, I'm gonna speed this up for you. So besides the taste buds being benefited from eating sauerkraut with bratwurst,
there are health benefits that you might not know besides probiotics. Now, the one thing you might not know about probiotics is if you end up cooking your sauerkraut, you will kill the probiotics that you are trying to consume. So do not cook your sauerkraut if that's what you want. The other thing that's really great about sauerkraut is that it also enhances your immune and anti-inflammatory responses. It helps with certain diseases like metabolic syndrome, diabetes 2. It helps with your heart diseases. It also helps be able to lower your blood pressure, and it also helps with IBS, which is your gut health. So it's really important that you try to find out if this is something that you can consume and add to your diet. The other thing that's really wonderful about sauerkraut, it only has 30 calories in a cup, and it has vitamin C, K, and iron, potassium, as well as folate.
I'm going to go ahead and weigh it and make sure that I still have 5 pounds. Hope that you have kitchen scale that you can use to weigh your cabbage out. So I'm going to weigh this out and make sure that I have 5 pounds. If not, I will have to cut some more. Okay. So now it's about 2 pounds there. 3. Looks like I'm gonna have about 4 pounds of cabbage. All right, so I need to cut just a little bit more and we can get on with making this traditional sauerkraut. Now it's time to go ahead and add the salt. Now this process is going to take a little bit longer as far as the reduction of the brine making process, because it's going to be sucking the moisture out of the cabbage itself. So we're going to go ahead and get this going by adding 2 tablespoons to the larger pot, like so, and 1 tablespoon to the smaller one, like so. And all I'm using is pink Himalayan salt. They do not recommend using iodized salt. So any type of non-iodized salt that you prefer, you go ahead and use for this process. Now you can either smush it by hand, they have a special mallet that you can use, all those things, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my potato masher. You just wanna mix it in. And just let the salt do its work.
All right, at this point I realized that the potato masher was not going to work for the big pot at all. So I went ahead and I used my hands. Now the only thing that you have to remember when you're doing this fermentation process or any fermentation process is that as long as it's completely sanitized, not like hospitalized sanitized, then you are fine. If you get it as clean as you possibly can, as you normally do in your kitchen, you're all good, and just do not cross-contaminate with anything else.
All right, so I'm back, and as you can see, it is starting to wilt down a lot, actually. It's only been about 20 minutes, and there's a little bit of juice already being pulled out. You can see it down there. Can you see that? The juice right there. And this looks like I can go ahead and add it. Didn't take long. To the big pot. So do one little quick stir. Dun, 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 dun. Do, 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 do. Let me get another mixing spoon, because I just don't want to put my hands in it right now. No, I do not. Right. So all I want to do is get this up in here. Get this down there some more. Get that salt mixed in there all the way. And it's really important to get that salt mixed on the cabbage leaves, because it makes a big difference in the brining process. Okay, I found another piece. Now, some of you might want the chunky pieces like that. I'm just going to pull them out. That was a thick core piece, so I figured that'd be all right. Okay, so I'm gonna wait another 15 minutes and I'm gonna come back, stir this up again. And at that point, I think it should be ready for me to go ahead and add this other bowl. All right, let this sit for another 15 minutes. So it's starting to form up above the cabbage now as I press it down. And that's what we want. We want it to get to that stage. Because the sooner it does that, the sooner we can get in that mason jar. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right here. And I'll come back to it in another, I'll also give it another 15 minutes. And then see if we can start getting it into that mason jar. Okay, I am back. And we are gonna go ahead and check this out and see how much it has reduced and how much more brine we have produced as well. So, voila! There you go, that's what it looks like. Now, some people says it starts smelling, and it smells like cabbage to me. Doesn't smell really funky, it just smells like wet cabbage at the moment. I did take a little tiny nibble, and this is pretty salty. But at this stage, it's starting to bubble, I notice. So we're starting, the fermentation process has begun. There is bubbles. Oh, gosh, I wish I could show it to you. Let me see. Can you see that? Bubbles. So push it. It's starting to bubble. Bubbles means it's fermenting. So yes, really important to get this down into the brine. So I'm pressing it down at this point, no more stirring, just press, press, press. Now I did take a little nibble. Yeah, I'll show you. Took a little teeny tiny nibble like this, little teeny bit. Okay, here we go. Right there, see that? It's just salty. Not extremely salty. So that's nice. That was with 3 tablespoons of the pink Himalayan salt. Organic pink Himalayan salt. Now, even though my Himalayan salt was organic, the cabbage that I used was not. It was just the store-bought produce that was available at the time, and I am looking forward to trying this recipe again, hopefully with my own homegrown cabbage, which is the goal for this year, is our homesteading goal. So we will see if that can transpire, and if it does, then you will see that video. Yes, I'm kind of excited about that. But for now, this is what we have, and this is what we're going to produce at this moment. So we're going to let it continue to brine up and see if we can get it to fit into the mason jar. So I'm back and we're gonna see if we can get this in the mason jar. So first we need to go ahead and squish this down. Might make it. We'll try it. I'm gonna use my tongs here. My mason jar. And we'll start putting it inside.
Squish, squish. Alright, I'm gonna keep doing this until I can get this jar full.
All right, not quite, but good news is there's enough juice in the jar and here in the pot to keep the fermenting process going. So I'm gonna fill this up as much as I can. I mean, there's like barely anything in there, really. And keep pushing this down. But it is producing its own juices very nicely. As you can see, and there's already bubbling going on. The fermentation is happening as we proceed. Look at that. That's fantastic. Lovely, bubbly, literally. All right, so I only have about that much left, but as you can see, there's a lot of juice down in there. So what I'm gonna do is just leave it in here, spread it out on the bottom, make sure it's pressed this down into the brine in here so it can continue to reduce and create its own brine. Cover this jar up like so, leaving the lid just on as is. Not going to move anything else around, and then we're going to let it continue to process and get the rest of this in this jar. But it is already, I don't have to add any water. That was hardly pushing down anything there. And it is doing fantastic. So I'm gonna leave it and we'll be back and finish filling this jar up. I'm going to see if I can get the last of this in here. Press, press, press. And it is in. All good. All right. So now it's time to go ahead and seal this up and let it continue to ferment. So the only thing left to do is make sure that we put it inside a bowl. I'm just gonna put this lid on it because I'm gonna make sure I just go ahead and press twice a day. Making sure that the cabbage is underneath the brine solution. I'm not gonna put a weight on it and leave it as that. Close the lid so that it's on and not sealed tight to let the gases escape. And we're gonna go ahead and see how long this takes from this point. We'll check it in 3 days. All right, catch up with you later. Hello everyone, so it's been 3 days.
I haven't been asleep for 3 days.
So it's been 3 days since we made this sauerkraut.
I didn't make it.
Okay, I made it. I made the sauerkraut for the very first time, the green cabbage sauerkraut. And we're gonna go ahead and try it and see what it tastes like after 3 days. Because certain people said out there that it is ready to go for them after 3 days. And we've heard between 3 days to 7 weeks. So we're gonna go through.
Over 7 months.
No, well, some people say you can preserve it forever.
12 years.
So we're gonna go through.
This is from the age of Jerusalem.
So we're gonna go ahead and try it at 3 days and see what we think. And then we're gonna do a 7-week period. So let's give it a try. Now at this stage, it's still fermenting.
In a jar.
Yes. And it's,
Oh, it smells like Scotch whiskey.
it smells a bit cabbagey. But
If it was made of cabbage.
But it has a bit of foam still. And I guess you could scoop that off and then discard it if you're ready to have it at this stage. So we're gonna try it, leaving the foam there.
Yes, leave the foam. That's the best bit.
Yeah.
That's the, actually, you could send that to the EPA for replacement of cow farts.
Here, babe. Here, you have to get your own fork. I can't redip it and let it continue to ferment. You take the foam and all, huh? You're just gonna go for it.
Yes, I'm going for
It's
cow
like
farts.
beer. Okay, here we go. It doesn't taste like sauerkraut to me. It smells like it somewhat, but not quite there.
It's about halfway there.
To me.
There's a little bite, but it's still a little cabbagey.
I'm gonna let it sit there for a minute.
It's kind of halfway there, really. It's almost, it's got that like bite on it, but it's still got that more cabbagey taste than you used to in sauerkraut. So it's good.
No, I wouldn't do it after 3 days. I'm not a 3-day girl.
It's
No.
yeah. I mean, no, I wouldn't
No.
if you're looking for sauerkraut. But it's not like it's nasty or anything. It's
Well,
perfectly good. It's just
We've
different
never-
than the sauerkraut you get from the store in a jar that's been fermented for
All right.
1,000 years.
Okay, so this is the sauerkraut we're used to.
Yeah,
This is-
and you know you could even tell the color difference between the jar and
Yes.
the cabbage.
It's close
But-
though. The color, look, you can. It's breaking down.
It's. I would give it another. What was our next?
2
week?
weeks.
2
No,
weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, it'll be there. It's already. It's
It's
already there.
close.
It's. You can just taste it.
It's
getting
close,
there.
but I personally because I'm still used to what we buy from the store. So I'm still used to the store-bought version, and so that to me is what sauerkraut tastes like. Now, if you're someone who's been raised on homemade sauerkraut, and we've never, this is the first, have you ever had it?
No, well, we've never lived in the Arctic East where all they have is sauerkraut for
Okay,
lunch.
babe, that's not the
And so if they
point.
run out, they have to make a quick, fresh batch.
Okay, but seeing that you are actually a resident or have been a resident of the European countries.
Yeah, but England doesn't count. We boil everything to death. So it's boiled cabbage, but
all I'm
and this is
saying-
a boiled cabbage.
It's fermented. So it's just that I've just never had homemade before. So because I've never had homemade before, I can't honestly say that, okay,
Neither
3
of us
days.
have had homemade before. That's why we're making it, to see what homemade tastes like. But after 3 days, it doesn't have the consistency and bitterness of a sauerkraut.
It's
but
close.
it's getting there, so it's working on it. I think we need to just give it a little more time.
Close. So that's where we're at with the 3 days. So would we do 3 days, babe?
Okay,
Now,
lid on. Let's go.
Why are you thumbs up again? Are you gonna? Will you eat it at 3 days?
Oh, I did it in 3 days. Yeah,
would?
for sure. Yeah, I'll put you definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
No.
Okay. So
Sour
that's where we're
cabbage
at.
sandwich.
So okay. So before, thank you, Mr. Rose, for.
You're welcome.
I just want to show you something that I kind of figured out today. That I noticed with the fermenting process. Do you see this part down here? Okay. Well, earlier today, this top section here looked more of this consistency, and the bottom had more of this consistency. So I thought maybe I should try to kind of just stir it up a little bit more. And what I did is I took my big serving fork and I just took it, I brought it down. I can't show you. Like, I brought it down like so. Never so slight. I just lifted this cabbage up as much as I could. And it didn't matter if some of the liquid came out. Just lifted it to help get the liquid more, like separated it. And when I did that, it seemed to help mix in more, and the consistency changed during the day. So just in case you kind of notice that with your green cabbage sauerkraut mix or your sauerkraut process, fermenting process, that it seemed like the bottom part just isn't quite looking the same or thinning out like the top part, then you might have to go in and just kind of break it up a bit and get the juices down and separate the layers a little bit, and then press it all back down again and continue with your fermenting. And that's what I noticed. So I thought I'd share that with you. And all I've been doing is just keeping it pressed down like a so. I didn't put any weight on it at all. So I saw our first, one of the recipes that we looked at and checked out. This is all they did. They just only did it twice a day. And that's what I've been doing, and not having any weight to it whatsoever. And just making sure that the juices stay on top. That's the key, and that's why they put the weight in there as well. It's just to make sure that all the cabbage is below the juice level to help the fermenting process. And so that's what that person did. I tried it, and it seems to be working just fine. So I thought I would share that with you, and we're just gonna go ahead and continue to ferment this and see how it is in 14 days. All right, be back. Hello, everyone.
Hey, I've been waiting for this day. Ooh.
It is time for us to try the sauerkraut that I made and from scratch. And we're gonna start with the traditional sauerkraut, and then we're gonna try the Island Girl version in just a second.
I know.
Before we do that,
I was going to say, I don't know.
okay, well, yeah, but I'm
People
gonna
have been
do this. I'm gonna do this part.
saying it smells and stuff, or it's just been smelling delicious. I don't know what the nasty ass smell is.
Ooh,
But
smell.
let me smell. Ooh, that smells like sauerkraut.
That smells
Traditional style.
Okay, now the one thing I have to say to you guys is I kind of figured out is that you definitely need to make sure if you decide to do what I did and make 2 at the same time, and they are different recipes, make sure your utensils do not go
intermingle?
into this. Yes. No. No double dipping.
She's pushing it down and I want to eat it.
All right, so I'm just doing a last little mix. Get this in there. Ooh. Oh, look at that. It smells so good. Smells so good.
All right, let's put some on the plate. I've got to taste this stuff.
Oh,
I've been
gosh.
smelling it for weeks now.
Yeah, but seriously though, I didn't think the whole process of it smelling like crazy batter, it didn't do that for me. Except for when we tried the first time. Ooh, wasn't down with that. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, here we go, here we go. Traditional. Oh, it really does smell like sauerkraut right now.
Mmm. That is different than store sauerkraut.
Mmm.
A little more tang,
Oh my gosh.
a little bit sharper.
Oh my lord. This is yum yum. Come get me some right now. Mmm.
No, there's none left, babe. I'm
Oh
sorry
my-
I ate it all.
Oh my goodness. That is a bit of Lord have mercy. Mmm.
That is good.
Wow.
I recommend you make your
Make
own.
your own.
Whatever you, hot
Oh my
sausages,
Lord.
whatever. Mm.
I
That is
cannot
different.
wait. Oh.
That is way better.
Ooh-wee. Will we make our homemade sausages?
Mm.
Oh Lord.
All right.
Okay, next.
Y'all come back to Wild